What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I'm up late. I can't sleep. You know, I'm always up grinding around the clock. And I figured I'd make this video, something I wanted to talk about. This is basically my list of sleeper hits. And by sleeper, I mean these are fights that are on the books, that are upcoming, that I haven't heard that many people talking about. And I'm actually surprised because, in my opinion, for my estimations, these are really good fights. And I think they're going to blow people's expectations out of the water. And I'm going to try to make this video in 5 minutes or less and go over each fight and why I feel it's going to be a potential barn burner, explosive, or just an overall good fight. So starting from the top, B-Hop Sergey Kovalev. This is probably the easiest one. There is some talk about it, but I feel there should be more talk about this fight. You got a guy in Bernard Hopkins with a legendary pedigree, legendary resume, and really story. Bernard Hopkins, if you look at the scope of boxers, it would be very easy to make a movie about this man. He's been to jail. He's lost to Roy Jones Jr. early in his career. He rebuilt himself. He beat Oscar De La Hoya via stoppage. I mean, just he's 50 years old. This is a coming of age story, if you will. We've seen this man's life unfold in that boxing ring. So you got a guy like that, and then you have a young killer in Sergey Kovalev who's known for his power. So I just can't see how this is going to be a bad fight. I think both fighters are tough. Bernard Hopkins, he has kind of sneaky power. Sergey Kovalev has outright power. So it's going to be a cat and mouse game and really an ultimate test to see if the old dog, the veteran, can pull another rabbit out of the hat and pull some tricks up his sleeve that Kovalev is not used to, fighting the Agnews and people like that. So it's going to be real interesting. Next, I have Nonito Donaire and Nicholas Walters. Now, I'm really excited for this fight. I think this is a banger. This almost could steal the show from the main event because I think it's a competitive fight. You got a guy like Nonito Donaire who was kind of on the top for a long time in his division. He was the man. And in recent memory, he's looked kind of suspect. He fought Victor Darchinyan and it was a hard-fought fight. He was able to get the stoppage, but he didn't look like vintage Nonito that knocked Darchinyan out cold, you know what I'm saying? Had his legs stiff. So in comes Nicholas Walters, who is a young, strong champion. He did what you were supposed to do to Vic Darchinyan in the rematch, and he did it better and quicker than Nonito Donaire. So to me, this is really interesting because it's a fight to see if Nonito is going to have to pass the torch to Nicholas Walter, the Axeman, or if his experience and his veteran status and his longevity in the sport and on the top will bring him to the victory. You know what I'm saying? So it's really a testament of how bad does Nonito Donaire want to be on the top again. So that's the type of fight that I see it. I see somebody getting knocked out in this particular fight. And if Nonito Donaire really truly has his heart in boxing, this fight is going to show because, again, in his last performance, it looked like he was looking for a backdoor out against Siempe Way. It just didn't look like the vintage Nonito Donaire that had his division shook. So I'm curious. I'm really curious to see if it's out with the old, in with the new, or is Nonito going to hold his ground, if you will, and remain respected, you know what I mean? Curtis Stevens versus Hassan Nadam. It's a good fight. And it's a good fight because it's a good barometer fight. Curtis Stevens, that's my dude. I've interviewed him and stuff several times. And he makes for exciting knockouts and highlight reels and whatnot. And then Nadam, he fought Peter Quillen. He lost that fight. I'm anxious to see this stylistic matchup because Peter Quillen is Peter Quillen, Curtis Stevens and Curtis Stevens. Peter Quillen's pretty powerful. He's a bit taller than Curtis Stevens, so I'm anxious, and I'm using this fight as a barometer as far as to see how Curtis Stevens, how good he is, and how he deals with Nadam. Because Nadam, if you remember the fight with Quillen, it wasn't a pushover. He really had to fight for it. Last fight, Triple G versus Rubio. This is a good fight. We haven't really seen Triple G in there against a merciless puncher with that Mexican heart, like a guy like Rubio, with some veteran experience, might I add. He's fought Chavez, even though he lost that fight. He's been in there. He stopped David Lemieux when he was undefeated. This is a very, very good fight. Two guys with willpower, two guys who have aspirations of getting bigger with their career, and I'm just really looking forward to this fight. It's very action packed. Props to Top Rank and HBO, K2, whoever had something to do with this card, because two of the fights, the sleeper fights that I listed on this video, are on the same night, and that's Triple G Rubio versus Donaire and Nicholas Walters. So I'm really looking forward to Triple G versus Rubio, just to see how he does with that relentless Mexican style, and that's why they call it Mexican style. And I went over 5 minutes. Some of you guys are gonna leave hate mail and shit. Fuck y'all. But that is my list of current sleeper hits, fights that are on the books. The runner-up for that would be, I would say, Terrence Crawford and Ray Beltran. I think this is going to be a better fight than most people expect. You got a newly crowned champion who defended against Gamboa. He looked good, dealt with some adversity early on in those early goings with Gamboa. And Ray Beltran is a veteran. He's fought he's sparred with Manny Pacquiao, so that's a ton of experience just in itself, dealing with that kind of crazy, erratic angles and stuff, and the power that Manny Pacquiao, the speed, because Beltran has been a sparring partner for him for years. So when Pacquiao was in his prime, he was sparring with Beltran, so he's got to see like the peaks and valleys with Manny Pacquiao, you know what I mean? Since the knockout, before the knockout, that kind of thing. So that's my runner-up for this. I think this is going to be a better fight than most people expect. Again, you got a guy who's a veteran, and he's been on the wrong side of a lot of decisions. And you got a newcomer who is anxious to stay on top, and that's Terrence Crawford. Make sure you like my video. Let me know what you think of my sleeper list. Let me know if there's a fight that I missed that you would have added to this list. And as always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.